I'm in the middle of working on chapter 289 of Bribob, and I want to do a deep dissection of my writing and art style for this chapter. So I'm going to split it up into two parts, and the beginning of this video is going to be the writing, the next portion will be drawing it out. So for the writing portion of this is nearing the end of the Revive AU in Bribob, where Stephen fails to heal humanity and gets overwhelmed by all the sick and needy people showing up to Little Earth World he made alongside Little Homeworld. So then he wants to shorten his scope to just trying to save his friends and neighbors in Beach City. And he's thinking like, well, they're still going to get sick and die all the time as well. I might as well turn them all into and do what I did with Lars. You know, revive them, they live longer, and they don't get sick the same way. So this is right after he has offered to Beach City and has been very upfront in my AU. He's like, guys, I can give you the Lars special, but it means I'm gonna have to kill you to revive you. So everyone goes to Beach City, he blows up all their heads, and then this is him basking in the moment after the massacre, which I think is really wild. So this segment, all of the dialogue from this segment is from the ending of the song, the Order of Spiritual Virgins by Lingua Ignota. And it's a very interesting little monologue, I think that's the right word for it, at the end of the song, where it's a man speaking about embracing or liking dead silence because he can hear his departed mother singing a hymn in church from 30 years ago. So I took that and I'll show you if I can see it. So I took the dialogue from the end of the song and changed it from singing a hymn in church to Stephen saying, in the dead silence you could hear your departed mother singing in Greg's van from 20 years ago. So he's just enjoying this very morbid, brutal silence because everyone has died. And then I break it up with, he starts singing to himself again, just humming, and then he's like, well, lucky for you guys, I'm sick of thinking about my mom. And then he gives everybody the Stephen bomb from earlier. He makes them appear on their decapitated necks, and they all start floating. And that's going to be the end of chapter 289 on a cliffhanger. But I wanted to have, lucky for you guys, I'm sick of thinking about my mom. Meaning, metaphorically, or what's the right word for it? If the silence helps him think about his mom more clearly, he wants the silence to end by reviving everybody and bringing life and music and noise back. If that makes sense. That's what I'm hoping gets across with this panel. And I don't know, it's very melodramatic. It's really fun. And then the framework for this one, I liked how solitary he looked in this panel. He's just looking up at the stars. Everyone else's bodies are kind of blended into the background, cold, lifeless, not the center of attention. And it looks really ominous, but also he looks very introspective here, he's thinking dead silent right now. So a lot of the framing for this chapter is interesting because Stephen is just talking to himself out loud about enjoying silence. And so he's not there's no one else in the scene that he's talking to, but it's such a crazy scene that it still works. So he's mostly closing his eyes or looking up at the moon. And then finally he makes eye contact with the dead bodies when he wants to revive them. But before that, he's not even looking at them and he steps on them. And then there's Nagito, call back to OG Bribob. And a lot of the focus is also just solely on Stephen's head because nothing else is going on interesting in the scenes besides the blood gushing out of all their necks, which would also kind of stop at this point because I also added a little time change, so the last comic, chapter 288, was like a deep blue and not this like black purple background. So time has passed, and it's supposed to imply that Stephen's just been standing there and staring out into the ocean for at least a couple hours. Okay, I think that's everything interesting about the writing. Let me know if you guys have any questions about that. Now we're going to get into the drawing portion. Okay, when it comes to coloring in my comics, I usually follow the same format every single time. So I go in with the line work, and then here I do the base layer with alcohol markers. So the interesting thing about alcohol markers is that they can be lightened up a little bit with other colors going forward. So I'm doing a base coat with black, but it's not going to be the final darkest hue or tone that's in the background. And then I do an outline of the body of Stephen there, so it's just easier to fill in really fast lines. And then I'm coloring in his pants, bottom half of his shirt, and it's looking good. So Stephen's gonna pop out from the background here because I'm going to put a purple base coat over the entire ground and all the dead bodies, so he just pops off the page a bit more. And then neon pink for his shirt color. And now we're going to lighten up the background color with an alcohol marker. So this purple placed on top of another black alcohol marker, it pushes the pigment around or something. I don't know. It just makes it have a really nice texture. Okay, now I'm going in with an acrylic paint pen, which is a very different material than an alcohol marker. And I'm doing these like purple rays and purple highlights that I just can't get as effectively by just using only alcohol markers. I'm also adding in these purple dots as well as highlights or accents to the bright white stars. I'll do that step later. And yeah, now I'm going to use a blue acrylic paint pen to also add some highlights, but this acrylic paint pen was a little bit too bright, so I just smudged it with my finger to make it a little bit less harsh because the background is so dark. And then now we're going in with the moon, and I'm using another acrylic pen here to add all these stars, and also going in and adding some more highlights to Stephen so that he's just very clear, it's concise, it's more crisp. And then I just had fun adding in all these fake constellations or just made up constellations. Yeah, it's very nice to look at. I like it. And I just go until it feels right, like feels like enough stars. And then, oh yeah, I kind of didn't like how much the purple had lightened up the background, even though it's a little bit hard to see on camera here. So I went back in and added another layer of black alcohol marker to add some more dimension into the background. And then I just redid the stars in the background, and it wasn't too crazy. And then I'm doing some shading on Stephen's shirt here with a darker pink color, a hot pink. And then Stephen has a very specific shirt design because I like to give all the Bribob AUs different shirts so that I can keep track of them, but also the audience can keep track of, like, okay, this one's from the Gary AU, this one's from the Revive AU. So Stephen has a specific shirt just for the Revive AU here. And then I'm going in with a warm gray alcohol marker to shade all the lumps of bodies in the background, and also a darker blue for the ocean right there. And then now I'm adding in the blood, the gushing out blood all around Stephen while he wistfully looks into the stars. And I like to add cross-hatching in. I just like the texture it adds. I like more busy or maximalist compositions when I can, so I like the texture and grit it gives, especially for a dark scene like this. And then, what else is happening here? I color in the teardrop on Stephen's eye with a light blue. First I'm going in and adding some shading to his skin. And then I'm going to do the teardrop. Nope. Now I'm going back in and adding more line work. Oh, and I'm off camera. Nice. Okay, now I'm going back in and adding just more texture into the background. It doesn't even make sense really to have like black stars in the background, but I just like it, so it's there. I don't even think I did that for the other panels, just this one. Alright, now I have finished up this panel. I like how it looks, and what I'm going to do is place it next to another panel I've already finished to see if they look cohesive sequentially. And that's about it for this chapter. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.